today's episode. This first set of picks is over and under seasonal win totals and picking the 12 playoff teams as well as a national champion. Each of those will be tallied up for a point at the end of the season to add to our season total. So you have the opportunity to get 15 points here today in preseason set of picks. So Matthew, we'll start with your over win total pick and team for 2024.
All right. So I am going with my new home, the Colorado Buffaloes, over 5.5 wins. I don't live in Boulder, but I am in Colorado right now for the rest of the year at least. So Colorado, a lot of transfers away, and roster management seemed like it might be not looking good for Dion after bringing in all that talent with his first year and first recruiting class. But I think they still have too much talent on this team to come out less than 5 wins.
I agree that they have too much talent, and I think that might be to the detriment of Colorado. You got a lot of playmakers wanting the ball, a lot of egos, that kind of stuff. And they're going to go under that win total. For my over, I meant to go back in and check this because I think the line might have moved, but I need to go change it. I will. But I found earlier in the week, last week, Michigan at 8.5 wins. I don't know if that's still the case.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know they like a pretty good odds to make the playoffs when I was looking earlier, but yeah, I haven't seen a exact line for their season win total, but I was putting them to like win the Big Ten or like get that bid into the playoff just because of losing Harbaugh, losing JJ McCarthy, losing Blake Corum. Like, this is a completely different Michigan team. They are rebuilding.
I actually found Michigan at 9.5. I'm still going to stick with my Michigan pick. I'll change it because 8.5 seemed way too low. So I'll go with Michigan over 9.5 wins.
Yeah, I mean, 8.5, 9.5. I think it'll be close, right? Just because of what I mentioned a second ago. But moving on to under, I am going to the SEC, and I thought this was a little reach for preseason picks, but Missouri is right now projected the line for their season win total at 9.5. 9.5 seems tough. Missouri had a good team last year, but there's a lot of teams in the SEC this year with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma. I'm not sure how much either of those two teams specifically are going to put up fights in the SEC, but Missouri going 10 wins seems like it would be incredible for that to happen.
That's a good pick there. I wish I would have seen that one. I like that, especially last year they did a lot of do team as well. My under pick, and I do want to just say, add this before last week, I'm going SMU under 8.5 wins on the season. I had the document. You can probably go back and look at the history. I not feel them in their first season in Power 5.
I didn't do my 12 playoff teams in any specific order. I just kind of threw them all in there, and there is supposed to be a group of 5 automatic at large. I threw a group of 5 school in there also. No particular order. I'm going Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson as a long shot, but I think like Clemson has a shot of either making the ACC championship and winning to get that automatic bid or being an at-large with 2 or so losses this year. LSU as a second SEC pick. I wasn't comfortable picking with Oklahoma or one of those newer SEC teams. I'm kind of a weird homer for Penn State. I know I picked Penn State to do last year, or maybe make the playoffs. Going back on it this year, and we're doing it again. Then I got Utah, NC State as a course ACC pick, especially with the showing that Florida State had last week against Georgia Tech. I think NC State has a good case right now at this point in time to be a playoff contender. And then I mentioned earlier that I was a little skeptical of adding this, but I did put Texas in there just for analytics. I feel like they have a good chance to make it. I just don't know how they're going to compete, and I feel like the level of competition is going to be a step up moving to the SEC. So rounding it out, I have Kansas State, Iowa, which I actually, during one of our most recent breaks, saw a post that 98% of bettors put money on Iowa to make the playoffs, and like 99% of the money on playoff teams is on Iowa. So that was a Barstool post too. So I don't know how it is. I know they're like, not a reliable source necessarily, but got Iowa in there, then Washington, and then my group is Liberty this year.
So I put mine. I got the 4 champions, Ohio State, Utah, England. Then as far as large bids, Oregon in as the first-year big team, Texas as a first-year SEC team, Oklahoma State, LSU, and Ole Miss from the SEC. Miami, who I think might end up being the second-best team in the ACC this year. They might be the most talented team in the ACC. Penn State, as you also had in there, I think they're going to be the biggest beneficiary of the 12-team playoff. What better way for them to make a playoff is just to expand the playoff so it includes more teams. I think Penn State's going to get in at least one time. They never got it into the 14 playoff. And then my group of 5 pick, Liberty. I know you said something about Tulane. There's a lot of hype, but Liberty seems like a solid group of 5 choice this season.
Yeah, I was like teetering between Liberty and Tulane there, because Tulane honestly has a lot of talent for Group 5 school. I don't know if you've really looked at their roster, but they have some dudes on there. It's kind of interesting. I think if we just switched out Union State and yours, if we switched out Oklahoma State and Kansas State and Ole Miss and NC State, then we have the same picks.
Mm-hmm. But as far as our national championship picks, who do you have winning the whole thing, Matthew?
Okay, I'm sorry, audience. I'll apologize in advance, but I went with the boring pick because my strategy, last 2 years, our pick'em contest has come down to the last 2 to 3 weeks in the season, and the preseason picks end up playing a pretty big role. So I went with a safe pick. I picked Georgia. That's not necessarily saying that I think they're going to beat us in week 1 or go undefeated or anything. I think it's the safest pick for me in my, body with whatever our punishment this year.
Yeah, I'm going with the safe pick as well with Ohio State. I did consider Georgia. But Clemson has found out it's hard to stay on top of that mountain when you get there. They won back-to-back national championships. Got real close again last year. So I'm going to mix it up and go with Ohio State for my pick.
Yeah, I hope you're right, because I really do not want Georgia to win 3 times in a row. Did they win last year, right?
No, they got eliminated from the playoff in the SEC championship.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Alabama.
They had 1-2-0, and last year was supposed to be the 3-peat.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I hope we both are wrong. I hate Georgia and Ohio State. So.
Well, I was born in Ohio, so I have a little soft spot for Ohio State, but no soft spots in my body for Georgia.